Hello, students. I hope you all are doing well and are taking care of yourselves. And I hope you all have been doing all the activities that we have been sending you all. Please do it on time and on the day that we give you. Try to do it on that day itself so that it doesn't pile up. Okay, because otherwise it'll be too much work to do at the last minute. And let me also let you know that there will be the unit test in the coming soon. All right, so for that you need to start preparing now itself so that you can clear your doubts. I've been asking you all to regularly send the mails. If you have a doubt, please send a mail to the mail ID that we are sending you every time, so that I can clear your doubts. All right, so today what are we going to do? We are going to start with a new chapter of SST called The Temperate Climate, and it is our chapter 9 from the SST textbook. All right, so what are we going to study about? We're going to study about the temperate climate. This is our chapter 9 in our SST textbook, and I am JC Benoy, and this is your grade 5 period. All right, so what are we going to do today? What are we going to study about? We are going to learn about the temperate climate. What is the temperate climate? We've already seen the different zones, climate zones, and we've already studied about equatorial climate, the desert climate, and today we're going to study about the temperate climate. We are again going to look at what are the flora, the fauna, and the people. How do the people in the temperate climates live? So these are the topics that we're going to study today. Apart from this, we are also going to see the extent of the temperate climate. All right, so these are the things that we're going to study in this chapter. Today we are going to see where on the map will we find the temperate zone. So you all remember in the previous video, that is on the video of chapter 6 of SST, that was the climate zones, we had studied that there are different zones of climate, correct? So today we are looking at temperate zone. So on the globe, where will we find it? So the temperate zone is you will find it both in the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere. So you will find temperate zones again in the northern hemisphere and the southern hemisphere, and it lies above the torrid zone. All right, so which is do you all remember which zone lies at the center, which is near the equator? It was the torrid zone. And how is the weather at the torrid zone? Hot. Why? Because it is closer to the sun. So if you look at the image, you will see that the torrid zone is closer to the equator, and so the weather is, this climate is going to be hot. All right, so that is why it is torrid. Now the temperate zone, if you observe in the image, you will see that the sun's rays are slanting, and slanting rays will be longer rays, and so they will be cooler, and that is why the temperate zone is further away from the sun's rays, and that is why they have a temperate climate. Now what does temperate climate mean? You need to learn the extent of this diagram, so please practice this diagram at home. Okay, now what does temperate mean? The word temperate means moderate, pleasant. It is not very hot, not very cold. Okay, so these are the words that you need to remember. Okay, so what is temperate climate? Temperate climate is moderate. What does moderate mean? It means in the middle, not very hot, not very cold. Okay, so it's pleasant, it is in the middle. All right, and where will we find it? In the northern hemisphere, it is above the torrid zone. In the southern hemisphere, it is below the torrid zone. So you need to remember this image. All right, now let me go to the next slide and show you. So this is the climate zones, that the image of the climate zones. I had told you all to practice this image, all right, diagram. So how is the temperate zone? Where will you find the temperate zone? In this image, the temperate zone is marked in yellow, and the torrid zone is marked in red. Why red? Because I want you to remember it is hot at the torrid zone. All right, so it's very hot, and so it's marked in that red bright color, like touch it and it's going to be hot. So that kind of an image. All right, and temperate is yellow. Okay, it's calm. All right, it's not very hot, not very cold, so yellow. All right, so it's warm, and it will not be very hot and very cold. All right, so that is what you need to remember about the torrid zone. Now if you look at this image closely, you will see that the polar zone, the temperate zone, is between, in the northern hemisphere. All right, in the northern hemisphere, So northern hemisphere, you know, is above the equator. So northern hemisphere, you will find the temperate zone between 23.5 degree north and 66.5 degree north. Okay, the temperate zone is between 23.5 degree north and 66.5 degree north. This is in the northern hemisphere. All right. Now, what is the line that passes through the 23.5 degree north latitude called? It is called as the Tropic of Cancer. All right, this we have already studied in our climate zones. This is again revision. All right, so please remember that. Okay, so torrid zone, you have the Tropic of Cancer at 23.5 degree north and between 66.5 degree north. What is the line at 66.5 degree north called as? It is the Arctic Circle. Okay, that latitude is called as the Arctic Circle. So when somebody asks you what is the extent of the temperate zone in the northern hemisphere, you will say that it lies between the Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle. What are the latitude numbers? So it is at Tropic of Cancer is at 23.5 degree north and 66.5 degree north. All right, so please remember this. 23.5 degree north is the Tropic of Cancer and 66.5 degree north is the is the Arctic Circle. All right, so that is in the northern hemisphere. What about the southern hemisphere? So if you look at the southern hemisphere, 66.5 degree north, you will see now we're looking at the southern hemisphere, and where is it? It is at between 23.5 degrees south and 66.5 degree south. All right, now 23.5 degrees south is the Tropic of Capricorn and 66.5 degrees south is the Antarctic Circle. All right, so these are the zones which we have already studied. You have learnt about these latitudes in our lesson about latitudes and longitudes, so please go back and refer to that video if you have forgotten. All right, so let me just do this one more time. Okay, the temperate climate, which is warm, which is pleasant, which is not very hot, not very cold, lies between Tropic of Cancer, that is 23.5 degree north and 66.5 degree north in the northern hemisphere. And in the southern hemisphere, it lies between 23.5 degrees south, that is Tropic of Capricorn, and 66.5 degrees south, that is the Antarctic Circle in the southern hemisphere. So the temperate zone is, you will find it in two zones, okay, in two places on the earth, one in the northern hemisphere and one in the southern hemisphere. I hope this much is understood and is clear. Now, how is the temperate climate? The temperate climate is moderate or pleasant. It's very comfortable. The climate is very beautiful. It is very, people love to go out in these places. So it's neither too hot nor too cold. You can enjoy the place. All right. So that's about the temperate climate. Now let's look at the distribution of the climate zone. Where will you find the places that come under the temperate climate? So you will find it all across the continents. You will find the temperate zone in all continents. Is there any continent without where the temperate climate does not exist? No. So you have the temperate climate in all the continents. Okay. Then, like I said, in the northern hemisphere, it extends from the Tropic of Cancer to the Arctic Circle, that is 23.5 degree north to 66.5 degree north. In the southern hemisphere, it extends from Tropic of Capricorn, that is 23.5 degrees south, to Antarctic Circle, that is between 23.5 degrees south to 66.5 degrees south. Please pause the video, go back to the previous slide. You will see the areas properly marked. You can find the diagram in your textbook also. All right, and if you are still confused about the climate zones, please go and refer to the video about climate zones. That was the chapter number 6 for grade 5. All right, now apart from this, what is the most distinguishing feature of the temperate climate? Okay, that is the existence of the temperate grasslands. So where do you find the temperate grasslands? You find temperate grasslands in the temperate zone. Okay, what are grasslands? Grasslands are these rolling farms where you will find animals grazing. You know what grazing means? Grazing means the animals like cows, sheep, goat, all these animals, they are always constantly munching on grass. So what they do, the constant munching of grass that they're doing is called as grazing. Okay, that is how they collect their food. You have already studied this in science also. I'm not going into the science portion, but let's just stick to our portion. That is, you have to remember that grasslands, you will mostly find dairy animals. Why? Because they have this huge extensive area of farms, grazelands, okay, where a lot of grass is grown in the temperate zone. It grows naturally, okay, because of the beautiful climate that exists, and that is why you will find a lot of dairy animals over there. Okay, so you will find a lot of livestock. Okay, so this is the special feature of the temperate zone, the grasslands. What are grasslands? Obviously grass land, so land filled with grass. Are you growing it on purpose? No, nature is giving that life to the grass automatically because of the weather that exists there. All right, so this is about the distribution. Please go through the points. Remember these four important points. You all need to know this. All right. Now let us see what kind of climates exist and what are the conditions, okay, of temperate climate. So one is, I told you, it is pleasant. So that means it's not very hot, not very cold. So the summers are warm and the winters are cold, like it should be. Obviously winters should be cold. It cannot be frozen. Okay. So the warm summers and cold winters is a characteristic of the temperate climate. Second, it is moderate. What does moderate mean? It means that it's not very hot, it's not very cold. Third point that you need to remember about the temperate climate is that they have a large diurnal range of temperature. What does that mean? We have already studied about the diurnal temperature in equatorial rainforests as well as the desert climate. So, but I am going to repeat it again. What does diurnal range of temperature mean? Diurnal range is the two. Di means two. All right, so the two ranges of temperatures of maximum and minimum. So which is the highest temperature in a day and which is the lowest temperature of the day. Okay, if you sit and compare that in the temperate zones, you will find that there is a lot of fluctuation. What does that mean? It means that during the days it could be very hot comparatively, and in the nights it would be very pleasant. So the temperature drop could be the difference could be very high. So that difference, that variation is known as the diurnal range of temperature. Difference of temperature between high temperature and low temperature, that is the hot and cold in a specific period. Okay, that is called your diurnal range of temperature. Please go back to the climate video and you can revise about the diurnal temperature over there again. Okay, so in the temperate climate, you will find that there's a large range of diurnal temperature. There's a difference between the temperature during the day and the night, and that difference is pretty huge. All right, now grasslands. What are grasslands? I told you grasslands are those areas which are flat and rolling surfaces of grass, okay, that you find in a very large area. It's spread over a large area in the temperate zones. All right, and they experience variations in climate. What does that mean? It means that because there is a large difference in the climate, in the diurnal range, there is a huge difference. So that means that the climate is going to change, that there's going to be hot summers, warm summers and cold winters. So that difference you will be able to experience. Why have they put that point over here? That is because in the equatorial rainforests, if you remember, we saw that they don't have large diurnal range of temperatures. That means that if it is hot during the day, it is going to be hot during the night also. Okay, and also because it was constant throughout the year, they don't have much season difference. Okay, so they don't experience much difference in the season. They don't experience winters, they don't experience summers. It's a constant kind of a climate. Okay, in the desert climate, we learnt that the desert is also going to not experience much variation in the climate, because in the deserts it doesn't rain, correct? They are having large diurnal range of temperature, but the winters are also going to still be hot. Okay, so these are things which you need to remember. What about the temperate climate? In the temperate climate, you can actually see, when you look out of your window, you can actually feel the difference in the season. Like now we are in India, we can see the difference in our temperature. Now is the rainy season. Okay, so there are different areas of the grasslands where they will experience it more intensely. They will be able to experience that change in weather very nicely, so they can see the difference. That is the variation. Okay, so in the temperate climate you can experience the variation of climates. Okay, like in summer season we feel really hot over here, and in winter season it's pretty cold. So that is experiencing variation in climate. Okay, now in the temperate climate you have different kinds of climate. Now how, you will say, what, miss, what are you saying? Like I said, that there are different zones in the climate, and it is spread all across the continents. All continents are in different locations from the sun, so they're going to experience the weather in a different manner. So the climate is going to be different in the temperate zones. In different continents it's going to be a little different. Okay, that is because it will depend on the position of the area away from the sea. Okay, the location of the land. Usually the areas are away from the sea areas. All right, so that is why the height is going to be different. So they have 3-4 variations. Let's have a look at the variations. Okay, so which are the various variations of the temperate climate? Okay, so one is the Mediterranean climate, which is obviously near the Mediterranean Sea. Next is the maritime climate. There is very little minute changes in the climate in these regions. Then you have the continental climate. Now this is an image of a grassland, so you can see that it is a huge rolling pasture of grass, green fields, and it's full of grass which the animals can graze on. Okay, so that is why you'll find a lot of dairy activities taking place in these continental climates. Then you have the subtropical grasslands. Now this is obviously in South Africa, in that area, so southern hemisphere. So that means these are subtropical grasslands, and this grass is again good, but the temperature is going to be slightly different from the places that are there in the northern hemisphere. Okay, now for us today we are going to look at continental climate. First, just let's do a quick recap of the different climates in the temperate zone. Okay, one is the Mediterranean climate, which is near the Mediterranean Sea. It has slightly different characteristics. Next is the maritime climate. This is again a little different. There are very minute differences amongst all these climates. Then you have the continental climate, and all these zones you are going to find in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere you're going to find the subtropical grasslands, and these grasslands you are going to find near the coasts. Okay, I'll just get to that. But today for us, we are going to study more about the continental climate of the temperate zone. Okay, for us in our chapter, what are we going to focus on? We are going to study about the continental climate, and that is what we are going to focus on. Okay, why? So that we don't get confused with all the information that we are learning about. Okay, why are we not studying about Mediterranean climate? Why are we not studying about maritime climate? So that is the answer for you, that we cannot have so much information altogether. So we're going to look at continental climate today. Now where will you find the continental climate? Like I said, the continental climate you will find in the northern hemisphere. Where will you find it? In the northern hemisphere, mostly in the European area. All right. So how is the climate in the continental climate? So I have put up two pictures over here. On the left is the summer season that can be experienced in the northern climates over there, and the winter season. So now you can see there is snow. So it is going to be cold, but it is not going to be as cold as it is in the polar zones. Okay, we will study about that later. So the summers are warm and beautiful. The nature in summers is beautiful. All right, it is beautiful. There are many colors that you find in nature, and winter is going to be in different forms. So in the continental climate, you will have summers, warm summers, pleasant summers, and in the winter season you're going to have snowfall in some areas of the continental climate. So this is a specific characteristic of the continental climate, which you will find in the northern hemispheres. All right, so of this, what do you have to remember? The climate is usually found in the center of the continent. So whichever continent this is going to take place, the continental climate will be in the center, in the middle of the continent. And what is the climate going to be like? It's going to be hot, humid summers and cold winters. Okay, what do you have to remember about the continental climate? One, it is in this, you will find these areas usually in the middle, in the center of the continent. Okay, we have already studied about continents and oceans, so you have to go look on the map where are the continents. Now in the center of these continents you will usually find the continental climate. Okay, and what are the characteristics of the continental climate? They have hot and humid summers and cold winters. Okay, so that's about the continental climate. Now let's look at the southern hemisphere. So in the southern hemisphere, we're going to focus on two continents today. This image that I have put up is of the grasslands in the southern hemisphere. You have this South American continent and South Africa and Australia. Today I'm not putting up Australia. We're just looking up at South America and South Africa. I hope you all are able to locate this. If you're not, I will take up a video on this later. Okay, now what do you have to remember? So look at the points that I've put up. Okay, so one, these grasslands in the southern hemisphere you will usually find near the coast. Okay, so where will you find the southern hemisphere grasslands? You will usually find them near the coast of the continents. What did we learn about continental climate? Continental climate was in northern hemisphere, and this was in the middle of the continent. Okay, but what about the southern hemisphere grasslands? These grasslands you will find near the coast of the grassland. So if you're near the coast, obviously what is going to be there near the grasslands? The sea. Okay, so the grasslands are usually near the coast. They are near the sea. They have moderate climate, which is pleasant climate, not very hot, not very cold. Okay, and they have, the climate is mostly pleasant. Okay, so it's not going to be cold and it's not going to be snowing in these areas much. Okay, so these are the things that you need to remember about the southern hemisphere grasslands. Okay, what are the things you're going to remember about the grasslands in southern hemisphere? One, it will be near the coast. Now if there's a place near the coast, do you think it's going to snow there? No. Okay, so the grasslands are near the coast. They are near the sea. They have moderate climate. It's not very hot, not very cold. If it's not very hot, not very cold, then it's going to be pleasant. So the climate is mostly pleasant near the southern hemisphere. So this is the end of our video. I just want to take up a quick quiz. Do you want a quick recap, revision quickly? Let us just see of the different things that we saw in the video today. Okay, today we saw that the temperate zone lies between the 23.5 degree north and 66.5 degree north. That is the Tropic of Cancer and Arctic Circle. We in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, it's between 23.5 degrees south and 66.5 degrees south in the southern hemisphere. That is between Tropic of Capricorn and Tropic Antarctic Circle. Okay, then we also saw that you will find these grasslands all across all continents. So it's not restricted to one continent or two continents. You find them in all the continents. Next, we saw that the temperate grasslands are a special feature of the temperate zone climate. Okay, the climate is temperate, so it has warm summers and cold winters. There is a difference. You can experience the difference in the seasons. The climate is moderate, very pleasant. There is a large difference in temperature, so that is why it has a large diurnal range of temperature. You will have hot and cold. So you will find that difference in the climate, and so that is why they say that there is a large diurnal temperature range of temperature. And the special feature of temperate climate is the grasslands. All right, now different climates that are found in the temperate zone. Within the temperate zone, there are different types of climates, of which we're going to only focus on two, which I'll come to later. Let's just first look at the different zone climates. Okay, so one is the Mediterranean climate, next is the maritime climate, third is the continental climate, and the fourth is the subtropical. Okay, Mediterranean, maritime, continental, and subtropical. So continental climate you will find in the center of the continent. Okay, you will find this climate specifically in the northern hemisphere. You can experience different climates, seasons very clearly, and summer can be experienced properly. It will be hot and humid, and winter will be really cold, very cold. Okay, so these variations in climate can be experienced in the continental climate. What about the southern hemisphere? In the southern hemisphere, you will find the grasslands mostly near the coast. So that is why the grasslands are closer to the sea. Okay, and the climate is going to be moderate, not cold, not hot, and it is mostly pleasant. Okay, so these are the different things that we have seen in this video. Now let us just see the quiz so that you come to know whether you've been paying attention. As usual, pay attention. Try not to copy the answers. Okay, do not refer to your textbook right now. You can check your textbook later on. One thing before we go to the quiz I want to tell you is that I have turned the captions on for my video. So that means if you turn it on at your end, you will be able to read the words that I am saying on your screen. Okay, so then that should help you better to understand the words. Some words maybe you're not understanding when I'm speaking, so those words you can read on the screen, so you can turn your captions on. Okay, let's look at the quiz. So the first question: the temperate zone lies to the dash of the torrid zone of the northern hemisphere. So where does it lie? In the blank of the torrid zone. I'm going to give the answer. So think about the answer. The temperate zone lies to the blank of the torrid zone in the northern hemisphere. Second, the blank zone lies to the south of the torrid zone in the southern hemisphere. Third one, it's very easy quiz. Okay, the dash zone is neither too hot nor too cold. The blank zone is neither too hot nor too cold. Fourth, the temperate climate is spread across most of the dash in the world. The temperate climate is spread across most of the blank in the world. Number 5. In the northern hemisphere, temperate zones extend from Tropic of Dash to the Arctic Circle. This is again very easy. In the northern hemisphere, temperate zones extend from Tropic of Blank to the Arctic Circle. In the southern hemisphere, number 6. In the southern hemisphere, temperate zones extends from Tropic of Capricorn to the Dash Circle. In the southern hemisphere, temperate zones extend from Tropic of Capricorn to blank circle. Just write the answers. You do not need to write the entire statement if you can. Number 7. The most distinguishing feature of the temperate belt is the temperate blank. The most distinguishing feature of the temperate belt is the temperate blank. So that's it. That's the quiz. Let's look at the answers quickly. Okay. The temperate zone lies to the north of the torrid zone in the northern hemisphere. Obviously. Correct. In the northern hemisphere, the temperate zone is above the torrid zone. So above is going to be north. Okay. Number 2. The torrid zone lies to the south of the torrid zone. The temperate zone lies to the south of the torrid zone in the southern hemisphere. There's an error in my slide. The answer is temperate zone. Okay, I'm so sorry. The temperate zone lies to the south of the torrid zone in the southern hemisphere. Number 3, the torrid zone is neither too hot nor too cold. Okay, the answer for the third one is the torrid zone is neither too hot nor too cold. Number 4, temperate climate is spread across most of the continents of the world. Okay, the answer is continents. Let's go to number 5. In the northern hemisphere, temperate zones extend from the Tropic of Cancer to the Arctic Circle. Okay, the answer is Tropic of Cancer. In the southern hemisphere, number 6, in the southern hemisphere, temperate zone extends from the Tropic of Capricorn to the Antarctic Circle. Antarctic Circle. And number 7, the most distinguishing feature of the temperate belt is the temperate grasslands. Okay, so grasslands is your answer. Okay, so quickly, first answer was north, second answer is temperate. Okay, there's an error, leave it. The second answer is temperate, third is torrid, fourth is continents, fifth is Cancer, sixth is Antarctic, and seventh is grasslands. All right, we're going to stop here. Please go through the video again. I will be putting up these slides and sharing the link in the description box later on. Right now I have not been able to upload my slides. Once I do that, I will be sharing it in the description box, so you can always come back and check on the link. Okay, so please go study, take care of yourself, stay safe. Thank you.